3 months after our divorce, I'd finally begun to breathe like a man again. No more yelling. No more guilt-tripping texts at midnight. No more pretending I hadn't seen what I saw. I was pouring black coffee into a chipped mug at my new apartment. No furniture yet, just freedom, when my phone rang. A known number. I almost ignored it until the name flashed across my screen. Howard Keene, my former father-in-law. I hadn't heard from him since the day he helped his daughter rob me blind. I answered. Before I could speak, he screamed into the phone, voice trembling, "Elijah, you need to bring 2.5 million. Right now. It's Evelyn. She's in intensive care. They won't operate without payment. Please, son, she needs you." I blinked. Took a breath. "Excuse me," I said calmly. "Who are you?" There was a long silence. Then I hung up. Let me rewind. My name is Elijah Ward. I was married to Evelyn Keene for 10 years. A woman whose love, I thought, was unconditional. Turns out it came with a long receipt. It all started unraveling the day I got sick. Not emotionally, not a cold, but a rare, degenerative disorder that made my body weak and my mind sharper. I'd stepped back from my company to recover. Evelyn stepped forward, right into my bank accounts. She forged my signature, sold shares, moved money, smiled sweetly at the board. And when I confronted her, "You're not useful anymore," she whispered. "I married a man who could build empires. Not a man who needs help opening a damn bottle." I was stunned silent. And that's when she served me the divorce papers. She didn't know I had already built a failsafe, a second will, a hidden trust, a lawyer who owed me his life. And she didn't know that one day soon, she would be the one begging me to open the door. After I hung up on Howard, I let the silence hang in my kitchen like thick smoke. The man had screamed at me for years, first behind my back, then to my face, then through his daughter. But now his voice was cracked with panic. I poured another coffee. You see, after the divorce, Evelyn and her family thought they'd won. She got the house, the yacht, the sympathy from her friends, and Howard got access to his daughter's future, which apparently meant draining every asset with my name still on it. What they didn't know was that my illness didn't kill me. It made me sharper. While they were feasting on my empire, I was rebuilding it, piece by piece, from a quiet apartment above an old bookstore. I had 2 laptops, a private fund manager, and my will to live. And one more thing, I had receipts. Every dollar Evelyn transferred, traced. Every lie she told the court, logged. Every piece of jewelry she bought with my money, screen captured and time-stamped. I hadn't said a word. I waited. And just when they thought I had disappeared into nothingness, they learned my trust hadn't. You see, I had placed 2.5 million in a locked medical fund, untouchable unless accessed by me. Not Evelyn. Not Howard. Not anyone. So when they rushed Evelyn into emergency surgery and found out their insurance was canceled, because she forgot to pay the premiums in her shopping spree, they realized what I already knew. They were broke. And they needed me. And I had been waiting for this moment. But not for revenge. For something colder. Something quieter. So I picked up the phone and called my attorney. "Activate Clause 17, I said. He paused. "Are you sure?" "Yes," I replied. "Let's see how loyal her lover is when she's penniless and broken." Because they hadn't just stolen from me. They buried me alive. And I clawed my way back for this. The doorbell rang. It wasn't Howard. It was Evelyn. On her knees. She stood there in the same heels she bought with my money, mascara running like ink down a broken page. Evelyn looked nothing like the woman who once rehearsed courtroom tears. This time her tears were real. "Elijah," she whispered. "Please, she's dying." I let the silence bleed between us. She wasn't here for forgiveness. She was here for funding. "She," I said. "The woman who stood in court, told the judge I abandoned you while you cried into a Chanel scarf and moved your boyfriend into my bed the next week?" She tried to speak, but I wasn't done. "You want 2.5 million from a man you buried?" "I know what we did was wrong," she said, voice trembling, "but she's my daughter too." I tilted my head. "Is she?" Evelyn flinched. Because we both remembered the lie she whispered in my ear the night before our wedding. "If the timing's off, we'll say she's premature." My silence over the years had given her a false sense of safety. But I kept records. I kept timelines. I kept receipts. And I wasn't done. I stepped aside, not to let her in but to show her someone else behind me. Detective Graves. "Ms. Evelyn Moore," he said, holding up a warrant. "You're under investigation for financial fraud and medical insurance falsification. You may want to call your lawyer." Evelyn stumbled backward. "You set me up." No, I said calmly. You set yourself up when you underestimated me. Howard appeared in the distance, running up the stairs with two men in suits. I raised my hand. They're with the hospital board. The medical loan you forged my name on? They have questions. I turned to Detective Graves and added, oh, and one last thing. Because in my left hand, I held the letter Evelyn forged during the divorce, transferring all debt liabilities to my name. Only this time? It had her fingerprint on it. I hope your lover knows how to cook in prison, I said. And just as the officers closed in, my daughter walked out from behind me, holding the trust deed she had just transferred to my name. I never wanted revenge. I wanted peace. But peace doesn't grow in soil watered by betrayal. After Evelyn was taken into custody, her father, my ex-father-in-law, showed up the next morning like a storm without warning. He slammed the door open, eyes wild, shouting, "You destroyed my daughter's life." I sipped my coffee and replied, "No. She did that herself. I just made sure the truth didn't stay buried." He threw a folder at me. Inside, medical reports, fake invoices, insurance approvals with my forged signature. "You ruined everything," he roared. "She needed help. She needed consequences," I corrected. "For once." He reached into his coat, but my assistant, Marla, had already triggered the silent alarm. Sirens in the distance. "You'll pay for this," he snarled. "I already did," I said. In silence. "For 10 years. Then I opened my drawer and slid across the table a USB drive labeled, "For the day they all return." Inside it, copies of all the audio recordings Evelyn left in her wake, bragging to her lover about what she'd get away with, mocking the courts, laughing about the paternity test she never filed. He didn't take the drive. He didn't need to, because the truth was already spreading. Online. Quietly. Anonymously. I made sure the full story, my story, was being shared piece by piece. Every time someone Googled her name, her face would show up beside the word fraud. And then, just as he reached the door, he turned and said something that chilled me. She was right. "You are dangerous." I smiled. "Only when necessary." And then my phone lit up. A message from the hospital. The woman Evelyn claimed was dying? She had never even been admitted. The woman Evelyn claimed was dying? Non-existent. It was all part of the scheme. A final plea to make me look like a heartless monster while she played the grieving, betrayed ex-wife. But the hospital had no record of her, no admittance, no calls made. Nothing. Evelyn had faked the entire crisis, just to wring money and pity from everyone around her. I was done playing nice. I took the hard drive from my safe, one I hadn't touched in years. It held the footage from the house I once shared with Evelyn. Hidden cameras. Security logs. Audio of late-night phone calls. I never installed them out of mistrust. I installed them out of survival. She always said, "You never know who might come for you." Turned out it was her. With the help of my legal team, I sent everything, time-stamped, verified, and sealed, to her employer, the court handling our divorce settlement, and the charity board she lied to about her financial contributions. And I didn't stop there. The new man she had left me for? I tracked him down. A simple man, she said. But when I showed him what she was capable of, how she used fake medical documents and played everyone like pawns, his eyes filled with fear, not love. "She told me you abandoned her," he whispered. "She tells everyone that," I said, handing him the printed court records. He didn't say a word after that. Later that evening, Evelyn called. Her voice, once arrogant, trembled. "You ruined everything." "No," I said. "I just exposed it." Then I hung up. And the next morning, I found a black envelope on my doorstep. No return address. Inside it, a single sentence. "You should have left the past buried." I stared at the black envelope in my hands, that single line pulsing in my head like a war drum. "You should have left the past buried." No name. No address. Just those words, and a chill that spread through my chest. I checked the camera footage. Nothing. Whoever delivered it knew how to avoid my system. That alone told me this wasn't some random threat. I didn't sleep that night. By morning, a memory clawed its way up from the depths. It was a name I hadn't spoken in years. Jonas Clay. He used to work with Evelyn. Her colleague turned close friend. The man I once accused of sabotaging my firm's biggest merger, before Evelyn defended him with everything she had. She said I was being paranoid. Said I was just stressed. But I remembered his eyes. The way he looked at her. The way he looked at me like I was already gone. I opened an old USB drive and pulled up the archived files from my firm's internal investigations. Jonas Clay had vanished right after Evelyn filed for divorce. No warning. No forwarding address. Like he never existed. Until now. And then the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. A man stood on my porch, middle-aged, suit slightly wrinkled, holding a briefcase. He wasn't a threat. Not visibly. But something in his eyes. He lifted the case and spoke calmly. "Mr. Ward, I was told to deliver this. It's from Jonas Clay." I opened the door slowly. Inside the briefcase was a stack of files, a burner phone, and a single photo. Evelyn. Holding hands with Jonas. But it wasn't from years ago. The timestamp said it was taken last week. The photo rattled something deep in my gut. Evelyn's face, smiling, relaxed, her hand in Jonas's. It wasn't nostalgia. It was betrayal given a timestamp. I stared at the burner phone inside the briefcase. It rang. Before I could decide whether to answer, it stopped. Then buzzed. One message. "You have 48 hours to decide. The offer still stands. J." I didn't know what the offer was yet, but I had a feeling it wasn't business. This was a game, and Jonas had made his move. I turned to the man who delivered the case. "Who sent you?" He said nothing. I stepped closer. "Who sent you?" He finally replied, "Jonas isn't the one you should fear. It's the person standing behind you." I spun. No one. By the time I turned back, the man was halfway down the street. And the briefcase. Empty. Gone. But I still had the photo. And that burner phone. That night I didn't sleep. I called Daniel, my company's cybersecurity lead, and told him to trace the message's origin. He promised results by morning. When the call ended, I stared at the photo again. Then I flipped it over. Scrawled in messy ink. "This isn't about love. It's about what she took from us." I paused. What she took from us. Not me. There was someone else. Someone I hadn't uncovered yet. And they were already inside the house. Daniel called at 6:03 a.m. sharp. "It's not Jonas," he said. The message was rerouted through 6 dummy servers, but the original IP? It came from a property owned by Evelyn. Purchased 3 years ago. Under a shell company. And guess what? I was already ahead of him. Jonas didn't send the message. She did. And that's not all, Daniel continued. There's more. Evelyn's been slowly draining the joint account. But not for herself. She's been funneling it to an account tied to your late father's offshore trust. The same trust you were cut off from. I went still. She knew. I whispered. She knew everything, Daniel confirmed. She's been playing you both. I stood, walked to my safe, pulled out the original while my father left, before Evelyn convinced him to revise it. I'd kept a copy. Buried and forgotten until now. The original will listed 2 beneficiaries. Me. And heirs to be determined. Jonas was never legally removed. Evelyn's edits were never notarized. And that workshop Jonas died protecting? It held documents, ledger entries, statements, even letters my father wrote, proving Evelyn's manipulation over years. I gathered everything. Walked into the lawyer's office that afternoon. He took one look at the documents and said, "You're about to own everything she tried to steal." That evening, Evelyn returned home to find a single box on the porch. Inside was the burner phone, the photo of her and Jonas, and a note. "You forgot who taught you how to play this game. Game over."